Hi guys, Paul from Journey of a Petrolhead, and today we're coming from Petrolhead Towers. We're in the office, as you can see, because the weather's a bit rubbish and we're not getting a chance to do too many reviews. So what I thought I'd actually do, I was toying with the idea recently of, do I replace the Jaguar XF? Do I switch for a large petrol engine? Do I go hybrid? Do I go diesel again? And if you'll notice on journeyofapetrolhead.com, we've created a should I buy section, the kind of cars I'm thinking of replacing the XF with. So for those of you who don't remember, the Jag XF I'm currently driving is a 3-litre diesel V6 twin turbo portfolio model. So what does all that mean? That means rear wheel drive, an 8-speed ZF 8HP automatic with Tiptronic shift, and 277 horsepower. So it's quite quick. The twin turbo is very fast. The smaller turbo spins in with the low revs and then it kicks into the larger turbo, and the thing just quick no matter what gear you're in. It's great fun to drive. It's very well equipped inside and whatever. 2014 model is the one I have. Why am I thinking of replacing it? Every so often you just want to refresh your cars. So it's something I toy with on a regular basis. So we looked on the market. What do we find? And you actually see these on the journeyofapetrolhead.com website if you want to go into the should I buy section. We're going to talk you through some of these now today. So the first one we're looking at in this particular segment here is the Audi S5. But we're talking about the 2014 model of the Audi S5, and there's a few for sale. So before I had the XF, I had a 2012 A5 3-litre TDI with the V6 engine, and again the same gearbox, or sorry, the Multitronic gearbox that Audi have, the 8-speed Multitronic, which is a fantastic box. Actually, it's better than the one in the Jaguar. Really nice car to drive. Good mid-range acceleration, good fuel economy, very well put together. I do like Audi interiors, I have to say. I think they're the best in the business. So we do like those particular cars. And the S5 I'm looking at, this particular one right here, this model, there's a few on sale on the market at the moment. Thinking of 2014, now the S5, when it came out, there's two different flavors of the S5. There's the Audi S5 Sportback. That's the one I had in the A5 model. So it's a 5-door. You have 2 rear doors and you have a hatchback. And then you've got the same front, which is the 2 standard doors. And then you've got the Coupé, which is a flip boot. And then you have just 2 doors. There's no rear doors in that particular car. The interior space is slightly different as well. More headroom in the Sportback, obviously, because it's slightly longer in the roofline. So there's 2 for sale here, but the one that came to market originally, the original version of the S5, launched in 2007, the B8 version. It was released originally only in the coupe style because Audi thought that would be more sporty, right? So it had a different body kit to the standard A5 model. It had a quad exhaust setup, all to differentiate itself from the bog standard model, right? LED running lights, highlighted the xenon headlamps. Now, the original strip of LED lights on the first generation, I don't particularly like them. I like dots that go across. There's a photograph of them there. They don't look that great, in my opinion. I do prefer the updated version. There's a photograph there, and they look much better. I like the way it swings around. It's a really, really nice looking car. That was the generation I had. So 2007 to 2012 was the original generation with these dotty lights. It was called the B8 generation. They launched the Sportback model then in 2009, right? But there was a slight difference. The original coupe was powered by the 4.2 V8 engine, which is a fantastic engine from Audi. I've driven an Audi S8 with an earlier model of this 4.2 V8 engine, a fantastic car to drive, lots of horsepower. In this particular variant of the original Audi S5, she had 350 horsepower and a 6-speed manual or a 6-speed Tiptronic transmission, right? But then the Sportback and Cabriolet versions came along in 2009, and they had a totally different engine. They had a 3-litre TFSI power plant with a supercharger sitting in the middle. That delivered 329 horsepower and had a 7-speed Tiptronic transmission. Only Tiptronic, you couldn't get a manual with this, right? So the purists went, well, hang on, we like the big engine. We don't particularly like the supercharging and this turbocharging. But you know what? They almost drive the very same, really, right? And the TFSI supercharged engine proved so good that in actual fact, Audi launched their 2nd generation, 2013, with that particular engine only, and they also launched in the S4 in 2010 that particular engine, right? That's how good this engine was. So it replaced the old 4.2 V8. It was a bit of a shame to real dyed-in-the-wood petrol heads who like displacement, but I like the supercharger idea. Anyway, the 2nd generation came out, updated LED lights, as I've said. I do like the front end. Reminder, nice looking car. It had diffuser at the back, which is really more cosmetic than anything else, if we're honest, and had a much nicer interior. The steering wheel had a flat bottom. Okay, that was originally designed so people could get out of the car easier, but because you're sitting in a low position with the wheel down low, you can't get it, the wheel is in the way. That was the original idea behind it, but it's taken on a sporty idea now. So really good sports cars tend to have a flat bottom steering wheel. It's just a look. The MMI button layout around the gear lever was better. It was more thought out. The original variants, the buttons were hard to find. People complained about the original MMI system. It was hard to move around. The navigation wasn't that easy, so they upgraded that in the 2013 to 2017 model, what we're talking about here, the B8.5 generation in Audi speak, right? The interior also, the seats were better, and the maps in the MMI system were updated, right? So I quite liked it. Now, what I always found strange though, the 2012 A5 that I had an 8-speed an 8-speed transmission that Audi generated, whereas the S5 only seems to have a 7. So that's a bit of a shame. However, I really like the 2014 Audi S5. I think personally I would go for the coupe version for 2 reasons. One, I think it looks better in the S5 trim with the body kit, but 2, I've had the Sportback. I'd like to have something different. Yeah. So there's a couple of things to watch out for though on a 2014 Audi S5, as there are on all used cars. I mean, it's just a fact of life, right? So first of all, you got to ensure all the electrics work, right? There's a lot of electrics in the car. The Audi A5 I had no problems actually. There was one stage where the windows stopped going down automatically, but you can do a reset procedure using the buttons on the driver's arm in the door, and it just gets them all working again. And one touch close, one touch open. Sometimes stops working. Watch out for that. Easy to fix. Now, second thing, see if a dipstick has been added to the engine. So I've come across a few Audis where the engine oil level, and my diesel was no different. The engine oil level is within the MMI system in the center screen. Sometimes it doesn't want to work, which is really annoying. So then you can't check the oil for ages. It's temperamental. The Jaguar I have tells you the oil level no matter what. It always works. There's no problem. The Audi doesn't, so that's an issue. Check if a dipstick has been added to the engine. There is a channel in the engine where you can fit a dipstick. It's got to be a flat dipstick because there's not a lot of bonnet clearance, but you can do it. If a dipstick has been added, then there's MMI problems in the car. And if there's MMI problems on one thing, there might be MMI problems on a few things. So that's worth looking out for. So watch out. That's a telltale sign. If there's a dipstick in the engine, it wasn't designed that way. It means they can't check the oil level, so something else might have gone wrong as well, right? Now, the other thing you really have to check with all Audis I've ever driven, I've driven petrols, there's TT225s, an Audi S3, an Audi S8, an Audi 80 Sport going way back in years, and this Audi A5 3-litre diesel I spoke about, they all drank oil, every single one of them. Oil, it just used oil on a huge basis. So check the oil level, make sure there's plenty of oil in this car, and make sure it's going in at the right grade, right? So check regular maintenance stamps for oil upgrades, okay? And check the oil level obviously before you take the car on a test drive with the engine cold to be sure there's oil in it, right? Check that the headlights and the running lights work. So in the newer version that came out in the B8.5 generation that we're talking about in 2013, if any one of those LEDs on that strip isn't working anymore, you need a whole new light unit. That's not cheap, and it's not easy to do. So watch out for that. They're supposed to run for the life of the car, and I had that A5 for 2 years. I never had any trouble with the headlights. They were all fantastic. So just watch out for that. If any of those LEDs on the strip isn't working, it's a new unit. That's not a great idea. And look for a full service history, certainly on an Audi S5. These things can be temperamental, like every car, I guess, if you don't service it properly, right? But Audi dealers can be huge money for servicing, so it depends on where you want to go. What I did with my A5, I brought it to an independent specialist. All he did was Audis, but he didn't charge Audi labour rates, okay? So I had to get the sensor in the window replaced for the automatic wipers and the automatic lights. It wasn't working. I got that replaced. Audi wanted to charge me hundreds. This guy charged me 80 quid. Genuine Audi technician with genuine Audi replacement parts. He just didn't charge me the labour per hour. That's where the money was saved. So I would suggest, if you're going to buy one of these things, go and find an independent Audi specialist. There's several of them around. The one I use, I'm in Ireland, the one I use is in Longford. Very, very close to where I am. Riley Cars, he's called. He was fantastic. JJ Riley Cars, look him up. Really, really good. No problem maintaining the car, and my car ran like a dream on a lot less money than it would have had I gone to Audi. The other thing I should point out, at one point the A5 had to go in for a recall. So I brought it to an Audi, an actual Audi franchise dealer who told me that my timing belt needed replacement. The Audi A5 3-litre diesel doesn't have a timing belt, it has a timing chain. So Audi themselves don't really know what they're dealing with, right? Whereas Riley Cars told me, don't be silly, there's a timing chain in this, it's all fine, don't worry about it. So that's something to watch out for. Sometimes the dealers, not only are they expensive, they mightn't be the greatest source of advice either, right? So Would I buy an Audi S5? Yes, I would for the right money. I mean, these things have 329 horsepower, the version I'm thinking about, with 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds. Compare that to what I have, 277 horsepower, but I've 460 newton meters of torque in that Jaguar. There's 440 in this S5. That's the difference. Turbo diesels, diesel engines will give you more torque, lower down the rev range. You put 2 turbos on it, the torque level rockets, right? The accelerated mid-range acceleration in the twin turbo diesel is very, very fast. I think it might actually be faster than the Audi S5. So 4.9 seconds, the Jag will do it in 5.9 seconds. It's not a huge difference. It's a second, it's not massive. We're under the 6 seconds already. The difference here is the Audi fuel consumption. Now, Audi had that problem a couple of years ago where their fuel consumption figures were bogus and their CO2 figures were bogus, so I'm not really sure what an Audi S5 fuel consumption would be like. The Jag is very, very good. I'm averaging 40 miles to the gallon and I'm not hanging around when I drive it because it's the kind of car that begs to be driven, right? So, I don't know, would I switch to an S5? Well, not for running cost saving, I wouldn't. The tax is higher, the fuel economy is lower. Would it be a better car to drive? I don't know, would it? It'll be different. It's a petrol. I haven't driven petrol now in a while, or haven't owned petrol as my main car in a while, which is what this would be. Would I switch? I'm not sure would I switch. That's something we're thinking about. I suppose at this point in time, now that I'm talking about it, yes, it's a valid option. Let's wait and see what happens. Thanks guys, this has been Paul reviewing the Audi S5 as a potential XF replacement. This is the 2014 model, there's several ones out there. Well actually that is the shape I prefer, that S5. I don't like the newer ones, I don't like the early ones with dotted headlights, I don't like the new ones, I think the face is a bit too bland. They all look the very same. I like that particular generation of the S5. I prefer to get it in a darker colour rather than a lighter colour, but you know, on second hand on the market, you don't really have a choice all the time, do you? Okay guys, this has been Paul from Journey for Petrolhead, signing off. Well, let's go see what we buy next.